you're going to see a baseball, frame by frame, as it travels by. If you use the auto or normal setting, which most people, they pull the camera out of the box, they want to go shoot a friendly wedding or a, baseball game, they take it out of the box, put it in the tape or the disc, whatever they use nowadays, and they go out there and just start shooting. It's that simple, but they're compromising the quality and the effectiveness of the camera imagery by shooting at auto or normal settings. That's usually a 250 shutter setting, 500 maybe. Anything less than 1,000 shutter settings, you're going to get motion blur. In broad daylight, no matter how many ways you look at it, anything shot at auto or normal, you're going to get motion blur. A baseball thrown by a little leaguer, it's going to look like a little baseball bat being, swung out. So, best thing to do is get the highest shutter setting possible on your camera. Use it manual mode. That way it's not zooming in and out. The autofocus is trying to zoom in and out on anything. By setting it manual, you've got an effective camera, man. It'll shoot what you look at, And the way I like to do it, so you can judge distance. Oh, jeez. So you can judge distance is look through a viewfinder and keep your left eye open and look through the viewfinder and zoom the scene to what you see with your left eye. In other words, you match the scene that you're filming. So if a fence is 10 or 20 feet away, by zooming into the right parameters, you'll be able to know exactly that fence is 10 feet away, and you're filming it exactly the way it looks. Because most camcorders, when you zoom out to wide view,
right,
it'll fool you. That fence may be 10 feet away, but it looks like it's, 100 feet away. So that's the trick to do, is set it where you're seeing through the viewfinder, but you're seeing with the naked eye. And then now you've got a little bit of a measurement situation. And then set the camera up on a tripod and tilt it 45 degrees, shoot it to the sky. Find a telephone pole or something that you can have as a reference, for distance, and just let it roll. If there's rod activity in your area, you will catch them. You'll catch birds, you'll get insects, and you get rods. And that's my Rods 101 on cameras, man.
Sounds good. And the best part is...
I call it sky fishing protocol.
Interesting. And I'm recording this, by the way, so I'm going to have to play it back just for myself so I can write that down.
Sure.
Now, it was a UFO documentary that I saw some time ago. Astronaut Edgar Mitchell actually stated that while on one of his missions in orbit, he saw what he believed to be, the only way he could describe it, was a snake outside the window. And today I saw video footage, NASA footage, of what I can only call flying rods in space from their own cameras. And I was just wondering if you'd seen those, and if maybe you think that there's any possibility that what he saw could have actually been a rod outside of the space capsule.
Well, I do have footage of rods coming into Earth from space, and this is taken by shuttle cameras. I believe it was SCS-48, I believe. But there's tons of them just flying in and out. I've got other footage too from NASA of rods in space. So definitely, I'm sure he saw rods. I mean, I'm sure they've all seen them. They're all over the place. Absolutely.
It just seems interesting that they can travel both, throughout here in the Earth as well as out in space, which of course is a vacuum. But then again, at the speeds that they seem to be able to travel at, it's just to think that these things appear to be alive. Also, it just kind of boggles the mind.
Yeah, and we did some camera tests. Here's another thing too, George. A lot of people don't realize, and I'm doing a movie called Roswell Rods, the Jose Escamilla story. I'm going to finish making that one probably this next year, hopefully, this year. Hopefully I'll be able to allocate that Tiger Woods footage. For some reason, rods like Tiger Woods.
They must be female.
That's no inside joke either. I'm serious. He's had rods shot alongside his golf playing, man. I mean, I don't make this stuff up, but in the film that I'm doing, I'm going to show, I'm getting out of my rods archives, footage that we did camera tests with a what was it, a Sony X1000 or Sony X2000. This was back in the day, back in the 90s. What we did is we got a crossbow, all right? And this particular crossbow, we knew the size of the bolt, which is actually the arrow, okay? It was 18.5 inches long, the arrow is. And the crossbow, I think it was a 30 or 60 pound crossbow, I can't remember. But we knew that that crossbow, when you fire it, it shoots the arrow at 130 miles an hour, okay, I believe. We knew that. So now we have a real object that's 18.5 inches long, that when you shoot it, you know it's going to be traveling at 130 miles an hour. So what we did is we got 2 posts, and we went out to a field out of the city, and this was when I was in Denver. Jim Peters and I and Kenny Schwartz, my fellow rodman, we went out, and we got 2 posts and buried them on the ground, and we strapped a yellow ribbon across. We got a magic marker and measured each foot, all right? I think the length of the ribbon was 50 feet long, okay? So Jim would sit there and he'd fire the bolts. I had the camera set up at the highest shutter setting, number one, and it was on optical zoom. In other words, I was not, these cameras have a thing called digital zoom, which is a fake zoom option, but it's not true optical. Okay, it's a digital zoom.
Okay.
So what we did is I set the camera up, like I said, measuring 10 feet away. The ribbon was 10 feet away, and I zoomed the camera into where I saw with the left eye what I was seeing in the viewfinder, 10 feet away. So we fired it 10 feet away, camera, then we moved the camera 20 feet away with the optical zoom, 30, 40, 50, 100 feet away from the thing, using the optical zoom, and the bolt, or the arrow, never changed. It was pristine. Okay, what you see is what you got. You can see that the arrow was traveling at 130 miles an hour. Up close, from 10 feet away, you only saw it in the field, in one of the fields of video. All right? And let me explain that. There's 60 frames in 1 second of video. 60 frames make up 30 frames. So it's called interlacing. That's where you get 2 frames that are playing side by side. So close up, all the way down to 100 feet. When I was at 100 feet away, I used the digital zoom. I zoomed in all the way, all right, to where it looked like I was about 20 feet away from the ribbon. But I was not. I was actually 100 feet away. And when Jim shot the arrow, or the bolt, that's traveling at 130 miles an hour, it appeared at only 1 frame of video. Now, the only artifact that we saw, and now remember, this is at the highest shutter setting, which I think this camera was like it was 1/2000 shutter setting. The only artifact we saw was that the bolt looked like it was a little bit bent. It looked like it was curved, just a little bit. But that was it. It was not, the bolt was not like 10 feet long because the motion blurred. It was actually pristine. What you see is what you get. It was the only artifact, like I said, was a little bit of the arrow being bent, curved just a little bit. And that's what I'm going to show in this new film. But this just goes to show you, these cameras that are made, they're not made to fool people what they're filming. They're accurate. What you see is what you get with these camcorders, man. And especially when you shoot the high shutter setting, there's no doubt that what you're recording is really there, And except unless you use the auto or normal. And we did that test too. We shot it auto normal just to show the difference between high shutter setting and low shutter settings. And guess what? On the low shutter settings, the arrow was longer. Of course, you're going to get that artifact. But where I'm going at with this is that once you take these cameras out in the field and you do the sky fishing protocol and follow the rules that I set forth, what you see is what you're going to get. If there's rod activity, you're going to catch rods. You're going to catch insects. You're going to catch birds. And you'll see the difference. There is a difference. So anyway, that's one of the things that was one of the amazing things that we discovered using the bolt. So when we went to the Cave of the Swallows, these base jumpers were like 100 feet away from us, all right, and they were falling in. We're over here filming, and these rods were flying around them. So anything that flew in was traveling at possibly up to 130 miles an hour if it was only 18 inches long. So that's how come the measurement was, if I'm 100 feet away and I'm using digital zoom and I catch a rod in one frame of video, that sucker might have been 18 and a half inches long, traveling at 130 miles an hour. All right? And if it was, and if I'm shooting an optical zoom, you know, where I'm looking through the viewfinder and I'm not using digital, and that rod appears in 3 frames, I would know that that rod was traveling at 130 miles an hour or close to that. And we've used that as a rule of thumb, you know, with the smaller rods that we've shot. But I'm going to tell you one shot that's just the most amazing thing I've ever seen. There's a, gosh, I wonder if I have that on the internet. There's a rod shot that when I was there with Fox TV, they shot a base jumper that's falling down straight, right? Now, do you know what terminal velocity is?
Yep.
Okay, terminal velocity is the speed that a body is falling in free fall. That's the speed. All right, so it could be anywhere from 90 to 120 miles an hour. Well, what happened was at the Cave of the Swallows, this jumper is falling down, and he's doing close to about 80, 90 miles an hour. Now, the camera is set at the high shutter setting, and this is a Pro Beta SP camcorder. These are the $90,000 cameras, you know, that Fox uses. They're filming the space jumper falling. The whole wall of the cave is a massive blur, okay? But he is in perfect focus, all right? So here we have him falling down, boom, and then he opens the chute, and that was it. When we're looking at this footage in slow motion, we see a rod flies in, goes underneath his belly, and this rod must have been about 3 feet in length because it covered about half of his body, okay? So, now here's the image, man. The guy's falling at 90 miles an hour around there and straight down. The rod is also falling straight down at 90 miles an hour, but moving laterally underneath his stomach and then makes a U-turn and it goes back where it came from, all in one fast clip. Are you getting a visual of that?
Yeah, kind of mind-boggling.
It's a mind-blower because they're both falling straight down at 90 miles an hour. And remember, this lasts only a few seconds, okay, in the video. And we didn't see it in the live replay of it. We only saw it when we went into the editing bay and we go, wait a minute, look at that. And when we're in slow motion, this rod comes in up midstream, camera left. The guy is falling straight down, so is the rod, but the rod is traveling where it goes underneath the guy's stomach. And then it makes a U-turn underneath him and goes back, all within about 2 or 3 seconds. It's the most amazing shot ever. And I'm going to have that in my new film, Roswell Rods, Jose Escamilla story.
How fast would that thing have to be going to be able to do something like that and to do all that in that much, in just literally a matter of seconds?
Well, you know that the guy was falling down at 90 miles an hour, and so was the rod. The rod and the guy were both laterally falling straight down on a horizontal, straight down at about 90 miles an hour. Now, that's one speed factor. Now, the rod comes in and goes underneath him at the same time falling straight down at 90 miles per hour, and then makes a U-turn and goes back within about 3 or 4 seconds. So that rod was trucking, man. It was moving fast, and for it to be able to make that kind of maneuver, it's totally unheard of. Totally unheard of. And when you see this footage, you'll see what I mean. I'm going to find it, and I'll get it up there for you. That
may also actually be, or something similar anyway, on the videos that I posted this afternoon. Now, you have a website for the Roswell Rods, as they're known, correct?
Yes, it's called RoswellRods.com. And I've had since 2007 or 2008, I believe, I've had a social media network thing in it where you can join. It costs nothing to join.